My Hero Academia has ended, Jujutsu Kaisen has ended, and several other Jump series are in the process of ending. With two of the biggest series in the manga industry right now finished in 2024, where does that leave us? My name is Axel Blaze, and this is the current state of Weekly Shonen Jump for 2025. Now, if I had a nickel for every time I did a State of Shonen Jump video to come out of retirement, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. Before we dive in, I want to make a distinction up front. This video is going to be specifically discussing Weekly Shonen Jump, not Jump Plus or any other manga released on there from other magazines like Jump Square or Young Jump. A lot of content creators are trying to rope in Jump Plus and more to discuss the current state of Jump, but those magazines and web services deserve their own separate discussions. We're also not going to be talking in depth about the plots of the manga covered in this video. Half of the magazine's roster has been around for 2 or more years at this point, so I can give my thoughts in a separate video or stream, but for now we'll be talking more about data and speculation. With that out of the way, let's get into it. A quick in memoriam to start. In 2024, we've lost 9 series to the axe so far. Cypher Academy, Martial Master Asami, Mama Yu Yu, 2 on Ice, Shadow Eliminators, Green Green Greens, Dear Anemone, Kyokuto Necromance, and Psych House. We've still got a few graves open before the year ends, so we'll see what fills them. Congrats to My Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen for reaching successful ends in comparison. With My Hero and Jujutsu Kaisen out, One Piece still remains. There's nothing to discuss here that every other YouTuber hasn't already discussed, so we're not going to linger here. Oda is still going strong. We know One Piece is ending, but it's whenever Oda decides to end it. Though he continues to have a terrible track record of predicting when said ending would be. Remember when he said he'd end things in 5 years? That was back in 2019. He reiterated that in 2020. And we're still here in 2024. Hunter x Hunter is also here? It's weird to still say that in 2024, but Togashi is once again gracing us with new chapters. With the inconsistency of its release, it doesn't make sense to discuss the series in length here, but it is worth noting that his team currently has character drafting completed up to chapter 420. Blaze it. They're aiming to draft an additional 10 chapters, so that's fantastic to hear. As for what that looks like with chapters being released, well, Shonen Jump editorial has mentioned it will have an irregular release, but so far we've been seeing a new chapter each week. I wouldn't be surprised to eventually see a bi-weekly release like Rory Dragon, but only time will tell. Speaking of Rory Dragon, it's still technically part of the magazine, specifically the digital magazine, but I digress. The weekly release has seemingly been treating Masaoki Shindo well, and Volume 2 has been a resounding success, with over 134,000 copies and counting. I doubt we'll see it ever make a permanent return to the physical magazine, but I also don't think it needs to at this point. With the 2 series from the 90s and Rory Dragon out of the way, we have 8 other series that have been running in the magazine for 2 years or more. From oldest to newest, we have Mission Yozakura Family, Undead Unluck, Me and Roboco, Sakamoto Days, The Elusive Samurai, Witch Watch, Blue Box, and Akane Banashi. Mission Yozakura is more than likely ending by the end of this year or start of 2025. And just given the state of the plot, the sales of newer manga, and how there's no wiggle room despite 2 massive series already finished, it could very well see its conclusion by Jump Festa in December. If not then, I think it's guaranteed to be out by the first batch of 2025, but I'm leaning toward the former rather than the latter. It's had a fantastic run, and I'm looking forward to its conclusion. To my surprise, it did get a second anime season announcement. I don't think it'll receive a third, but you never know. Undead Unluck has also entered its final phase. Yu Yu has been one of my favorites for the longest time despite its various challenges. An OVA has been announced to cover the winter battle between Billy and Juiz, but there's sadly no guarantee of more anime content after that, since we unfortunately didn't see any kind of manga sales boost when the first season came out. As for when the manga could end, the manga had a fake out with its final battle about a month ago as of the writing of this script, but the story has shifted to multiple ongoing battles, and I'm guessing we'll see the series end in the first half of 2025. Time will tell how long we still have, but Tozuka is clearly having a blast heading towards the conclusion. Of the remaining 6, our 2 standouts are Sakamoto Days and Blue Box. While I think it has taken way too long for us to get anime adaptations for these 2, and I can say that about almost all of the upcoming Jump anime, Sakamoto and Blue Box have consistently sold 100,000 units or more with each volume release. Blue Box's anime just started at the beginning of October, with the manga reaching 166 chapters. By the time Sakamoto's anime starts in January, it will be closing in on 200. Just for comparison, My Hero's anime debuted on April 3rd, 2016. Its 8th volume was on sale the day after, with chapter 84 debuting in Weekly Shonen Jump the same day. Jujutsu Kaisen's anime debuted on October 3rd, 2020. Volume 13 released the day prior, and chapter 124 released a few days later. I think the goal here was to have a similar experience to Jujutsu Kaisen, where there would be plenty of backlog for people to buy in droves. There is a good chance that will happen, given their already fantastic sales, but Undead Unluck and Mission Yozakura family did not get to reap those same hopeful benefits. Anime decisions aside, Blue Box and Sakamoto are going to have free reign for as long as their creators want to keep going. It's safe to say that they have at least 2 more years to go, but nothing is set in stone. Sakamoto Days has an ending in mind, with making Sakamoto's into a convenience store chain. Blue Box, on the other hand, has the main pair in 2 different grades. Will we see it end while they're both in high school, or will the series continue into Chinatsu's college years? Regardless of when they end, expect them to be more prominent on Jump group covers, with Midoriya and Yuji now out of the picture. Elusive Samurai and Witch Watch are the 2 veteran series of this group, with Matsui and Shinohara having several successful series under their belts up to this point. These 2 have suffered from the same delayed anime experience as everyone else, with Elusive Samurai's first season having just ended, and Witch Watch's anime, well, that's not airing until spring of 2025. I'm not even going to get into how far the manga will be by the time that airs. While the Cloverworks adaptation of Elusive Samurai was nothing short of fantastic, it hasn't translated into as big of a sales boost compared to other anime adaptation booms. A boost is a boost though, and the latest volume sold just under 60,000 copies over the course of 4 weeks. The anime was a big enough success to get a second season though. Witch Watch continues to sell around 40,000 copies with each new volume. Mind you, these sales are still very good for any ongoing manga. It just doesn't make up for the holes left by JJK and MHA. As for when these 2 will end, it honestly could happen whenever they want. These veterans have been doing well enough, and there's enough cushion for them to continue without fear of an axe. Elusive Samurai is on track to run longer than Matsui's Assassination Classroom, but Demon Detective Nogami Neuro ended with 203 chapters. We're right in that sweet spot for Matsui manga endings, and Elusive Samurai has a finite amount of history to cover with its plot. Witch Watch doesn't have a sweet spot per se like Elusive Samurai, but Sket Dance ran for 288 chapters ending in 2013. If we are to expect a similar situation for Witch Watch, that would give us about 2 to 3 more years. At the very least, I expect the manga to keep going during the anime debut next year. I'm going to skip over Roboco for now, since it's more relevant to discuss it down the line, and discuss Akane Banashi first. Akane is currently the little darling of the magazine, with how many big name artists and creators have spoken positively about it, Ichiro Oda being one of them. Speaking for myself, it's one of the best series in the magazine right now, period. And arguably, depending on the week, it is sometimes the best series in the magazine. Without an anime, the series sells 45,000 copies or more with each new volume. And as of September, Akane has 2 million copies in circulation with 14 volumes. That said, it's very possible that we'll get an anime announcement at this year's Jump Festa in December. Akane faces zero chance of an axe. It's going to go for as long as its creator duo wants to go, and I could absolutely see it continuing for another 5 years, if not more. We only have 3 series left from 2023, and those 3 are Kill Blue, Nue's Exorcist, and the infamous Kagurabaki, celebrating its first anniversary. We can get Kagurabaki out of the way right away, it's not going anywhere. Manga awards, great manga sales, and a strong fandom have given this series a strong foundation that can't be shaken. We just recently got word that it has 1 million copies in circulation for its first 4 volumes. Volume 4 has even outsold the latest volume of Blue Box so far. It also had yet another magazine cover for the 46th issue. Yes, the series was plagued with memes when it started, but Kagurabaki's success is genuine. Like Akane, I can easily see this series going for another 5 years, but we'll see how long Hokazono wants to go with his debut success. Nue's Exorcist and Kill Blue are not like Kagurabaki, and the two of them are also very different from each other, yet in similar situations. Nue is the debut series for Kota Kawaii after a few one-shots. While its story and art had been polarizing in the West, it found its audience in Japan, and each volume has sold 27,000 or more copies, with a slight decline from its peak. Kill Blue, on the other hand, is another manga from veteran creator Tadatoshi Fujimaki, the man behind Kuroko's Basketball and Robot Laserbeam. While Kill Blue hasn't reached the peaks of Kuroko by a long shot, it has surpassed Robot Laserbeam. As a Fujimaki fan, I appreciate that he reached that benchmark. In terms of sales, every volume has sold at least 21,000 copies per volume, with its peak around 25,000. I once again want to stress that these sales numbers are good in the grand scheme of things. Each volume debuts in the Oricon Top 50. If the magazine wasn't so full, these numbers could keep both Nue and Kill Blue going, but their safety is not guaranteed. I think Nue depends on whether or not it gets an anime, but with its current slow decline and Shueisha's lax approach to animating its current roster, there is the possibility that it gets axed. That said, it was on the cover of the magazine earlier this year for the 26th issue, so while a cancellation is possible down the line, I don't think it would be anytime soon. I think Kill Blue gets less slack as a veteran with sales just under Nue's numbers. We're more likely to see this go before Nue does, and I don't think an anime is in the cards anytime soon, even if it does continue to survive. On a positive note, both Nue and Kill Blue are getting physical English volumes from Viz Media in 2025. It's worth noting that both of them escaped digital jail, something previously achieved only by Mission Yozakura family. English releases don't typically affect Jump editorial's axing decisions, but it's still nice to see. The rest of our roster is filled with 7 newbies, 3 of which have just debuted as the newest batch. From oldest to newest, we have Super Psychic Policeman Chojo, Astro Royale, Yokai Buster Murakami, Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi, hima-ten, Ichi the Witch, Shinobi Undercover, and Hakutaku. Now that Chojo is here, it's the best time to talk about it and Roboco, the series currently primed to become the second oldest regular manga in the magazine. Gag series don't follow the same rules as other manga, where their existence is primarily driven by sales. Though to be fair, both Roboco and Shoujo have decent sales by industry standards. What does influence their staying power could be things like the reader surveys and merchandise collaborations. Both achieve the former, while Roboco has also achieved the latter. Roboco has an anime, an upcoming film, a live-action cosplayer collab, a Roboco action figure, various clothing collabs, and more. In addition, Roboco also has the benefit of being a parody manga, referencing not only Shonen Jump series, but also other manga, anime, various Japanese pop culture icons, and more. While it doesn't have the same hold on people in the West, it can definitely be said that it has a strong enough foothold in Japan. Chojo has also done pretty well for itself as the oldest of the new 2024 batch still in the magazine, with its first volume even getting a reprint. While not a one-for-one measure of success, it had 7 color pages outside of the cover and a color page every new series get when they debut. Put this all together and Chojo has averaged color pages about 1 out of every 4 chapters. The big question is whether or not Shonen Jump has room to maintain these 2 gag series. It's possible, but if something needs to get cut, I have a feeling Chojo takes the fall before Roboco because of the wide net that Roboco casts. Roboco herself feels like Jump's version of Doraemon. Even with Chojo's decent start, it's going to play second fiddle to Roboco unless something drastic happens. Either way, I do think that both series are safe for now, while Ghostbuster Murakami, the third gag series currently in Jump, will be seeing the axe with the next serialization round. While it's a big step up from Protect Me Sugamaru, the author's previous work, it's clearly not enjoying the same interest as Chojo. Not to mention, editorial has specifically designated Murakami as the permanent last spot in the TOC, preventing it from getting any color pages. I'm fairly confident this is going to be axed with the next serialization round. On the flip side of that, though, is Astro Royale, the latest series by Tokyo Revengers creator Ken Wakui. I'm still not sure how Shueisha managed to pull him away from Kodansha, but he's here now regardless of how his fans or detractors feel. Sales for the first volume were good, but a definite far cry from the peaks of Tokyo Revengers. Volume 1 sold over 30,000 copies, putting it in Nue's and Kill Blue's volume sales range. Volume 2 came out at the start of October, and Volume 3 comes out in December. We'll see very soon whether or not Astro's sales are rising or on the decline. With 2 weeks of sales so far, Astro's second volume has sold about 22,000 copies, putting it about 2,000 under the pace of the first volume. That said, it is getting another color page with issue 48 of Shonen Jump. As for its place in the magazine, I do think it's pretty safe for now, and it has Nue and Kill Blue as buffers. At least that's my current presumption with holding sales results for Volume 2 and 3. Kill Blue for sure though, given that Astro beats Kill Blue's sales peak by about 5,000. My biggest reason for thinking it will stick around though is that Shueisha seemingly poached Wakui from Kodansha. This man has been publishing in Weekly Young Magazine or Weekly Shonen Magazine for 2 decades, and now he's suddenly in Weekly Shonen Jump. It only makes sense that they'd be hoping for lightning to strike twice after Tokyo Revengers popped off. Though whether or not Astro Royale could achieve that even with an anime remains to be seen. It's also worth mentioning that Astro Royale is also getting physical volumes from Viz Media despite just starting this year. Kagurabaki was one thing with his explosive start last year, but Astro's digital presence has not been the same. I'm guessing that Viz is trying to bank on Tokyo Revengers sales carrying over. After Astro Royale, we have our last 2 sophomores of the 2024 class, Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi and hima-ten. One is the Mashal equivalent of an Exorcist manga, and the other is Blue Box with no sports. Oversimplifications aside, these two are in the hot seat right now, with their first volumes releasing at the beginning of November. And it's a stacked release month. Not counting Murakami or the 2 already axed manga volumes releasing, Kiyoshi and hima-ten have to contend with Chojo, Kill Blue, Akane Banashi, Witch Watch, Sakamoto Days, and One Piece. And that's just from Weekly Shonen Jump. Jump Plus has Dandadan and Kaiju volumes out in November too. If either of these 2 don't sell well enough, either one or both could end up as axe bait. There's just no wiggle room for a new series, even with 4 of the magazine's longest running current manga ended or ending. While I myself would love for both of them to stay, the odds are definitely not in their favor. hima-ten does have an edge on Kiyoshi if color pages are any indication. It received its second non-guaranteed color page with the magazine's 45th issue. The 48th issue is the next one out at the time of writing this script, and so far Kiyoshi hasn't had another color page announcement yet, but another new series just got one. Which brings us finally to our 3 newest Jump series, Ichi the Witch, Shinobi Undercover, and Hakutaku. I'm going to be very blunt to start and say that Hakutaku is immediate axe bait. I like the concept even if it is video game development Bakuman. The female lead's character design is nice too, but this one hasn't wowed me so far. Worst case scenario, this ends up being the 4th U19 member of the 2024 class after Dear Enemy, Kyokuto Necromance, and Psych House. More on that towards the end of this video though. Ichi the Witch, however, destined for greatness. Don't know how it came to be, but Ichi brings us our first ever female duo in Shonen Jump history, with the return of Shiro Usazaki doing art and Osamu Nishi writing the story. For those unfamiliar with their names, Usazaki was the artist for Actage, and Nishi is the creator of Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun in Weekly Shonen Champion. 7 chapters in, and they feel like a perfect match so far. The first chapter trended on Japanese Twitter, and the internet has been full of manga colorings and fan art ever since. We have to wait until 2025 for the first volume to go on sale, but if the sales of Iruma translate to Ichi sales, I think we'll see some great sales numbers. Maybe not Kagurabaki numbers, but still good. With 7 chapters out, we have a solid first volume worth of chapters, and Ichi even received a color page with its 7th chapter. That is incredibly notable. Of the series currently running in the magazine, only 2 others earned a color page 7 chapters in. Blue Box and Chojo. The only series currently running that did better was Rory Dragon, having achieved the same feat 6 chapters in. Our middle series is Shinobi Undercover, the newest manga from the Candy Flurry duo. Once again, we have another manga that's a big step up from the previous outing, but Shinobi's future is uncertain. What we've seen so far has been alright, but I once again want to stress how full the magazine is. There is no margin for error right now, so first volume sales will be make or break. And that covers the whole magazine. Or at least that's what I had in my original and then edited drafts. Truth be told, I started working on this script while Jujutsu Kaisen was still running in the magazine, and a lot has changed since. Even on the day that I finally sit down to record things, we have 2 more pieces of news that could shape what stays and what goes in a few months. The first bit of news is in regards to TOC for issue 49 of Weekly Shonen Jump. Elusive Samurai is getting the cover, Kagurabaki is getting a color page, and we're getting the last Golden Future Cup entry. Which series is getting the 3rd color page? It's Shinobi Undercover for its 8th chapter. Is it due to popularity? Is it just a promotional color page like other news series get? Only time will tell. But it's important to note that both Shinobi Undercover and Ichi got color pages after hima-ten, but not Ultimate Exorcist Kyoshi. So not counting the guaranteed Chapter 1 cover and Chapter 2 color page, hima-ten stands at 2 new color pages, and Kyoshi, Ichi, and Shinobi have 1 apiece. Not looking great leading up to Kyoshi's first volume sales, but we have one other piece of news that just might save it. I mentioned earlier that Jump Festa is coming up in December. It's a huge event that celebrates the past, present, and future of Shonen Jump and other Jump magazine titles. We just recently learned that Jump Festa 2025 will display a quote-unquote Jump Road exhibition booth featuring graphics and displays for select Jump Square and Weekly Shonen Jump titles. I'm not going to go over the Square titles at this time, but the WSJ titles include Akane Banashi, Kill Blue, New Ace Exorcist, Kagurabaki, Super Psychic Policeman Chojo, Astro Royale, hima-ten, and Ultimate Exorcist Kyoshi. Now, before reading too far into that, all the older Jump titles have a presence at Jump Festa, so don't think that these newbies are upstaging the old guard. That said, it is worth mentioning that Ghostbuster Murakami and the 3 newbies are excluded here. I think our new 3 were just too new for them to be included, but Murakami being excluded is a pretty clear indication that its days are numbered, at least to me. As for Kill Blue, Nue, hima-ten, and Kyoshi being here, I think this at the very least saves them from being axed for the upcoming new manga batch. I say that because of this mentality. Why promote a series in any capacity if you're just going to end it right before or shortly after your event? Granted, this is by no means a guarantee, but I think it saves them briefly. I say briefly because Jump Festa 2024 did something similar with promoting newer manga. The 4 titles they promoted were Kill Blue, New Ace Exorcist, Cypher Academy, and Martial Master Asami. Notice how 2 of the series listed there were in our in memoriam at the beginning of the video? Well, Cypher Academy ended at the beginning of February, and Asami ended the week after. While these 2 were spared the axe right before Jump Festa 2024, they were out in the next new manga round after that in February. So with all of this new info and everything else we've discussed so far, let's discuss a potential timeline for the rest of this year and the start of 2025. If we get a new batch before the year ends, I'm predicting that Murakami and Mission Yozakura family will end. If Jump publishes more than 2 new manga, then either hima-ten and or Kyoshi will get cut too, with Kyoshi being the more likely axe bait. But the Jump Festa news make me believe we'll only get 2 new manga here and spare Kyoshi. In February or March, we'll get another new batch of manga. Hakutaku will end here along with Mission Yozakura in the event it somehow doesn't end in this upcoming batch, and then Undead Unluck potentially. If not in this round, then I think it's the one after that for Yu Yu. Wild card spots here for hima-ten, Kyoshi, and Shinobi Undercover, depending on Jump Festa reception and Volume 1 sales. Past these 2 serialization rounds is anyone's guess. If Jump needed to, they could cut Chojo or Roboco, but not both. Nue or Kill Blue could be axed in 2025, but Kill Blue is more likely than Nue if that were the case. An Elusive Samurai and Witch Watch could reach their conclusions should their creators choose to do so, but otherwise won't be touched by the editorial department. Astro Royale only gets cut if its sales plummet, Kill Blue gets axed, and or Nue gets axed. Blue Box, Sakamoto Days, Akane Banashi, Kagurabaki, and I believe Ichi the Witch will all go untouched in 2025. But before we wrap things up, it is worth mentioning that Weekly Shonen Jump has a new editor-in-chief, Yu Saito. He replaced Hiroyuki Nakano after his 7-year run as EIC back in June. What kind of changes will he bring to the magazine? What kind of series will he greenlit for publication? Whether he had a direct hand in it or not, I already mentioned that 2024 had 3 new U19 Club inductees, with him now as EIC, and there's a possibility that Hakutaku could join that club as well in a worst case scenario. Does that mean we'll see a stricter approach towards new series going forward? It's also worth mentioning that he was a former editor for Fujimaki when he was writing Kuroko's Basketball, so could Kill Blue face some leniency? Time will tell, but I'm interested to see what direction he takes the magazine in while he's editor-in-chief. But that, my friends, is what I believe to be the current state of Weekly Shonen Jump going into 2025. Granted, this is all still speculation, but I've been keeping tabs on Shonen Jump's roster for nearly a decade now. I'm familiar with a lot of its ins and outs at this point, and I think sales will take a slight dip with MHA and JJK gone, but hopefully things bounce back right with the anime adaptations of Blue Box and Sakamoto Days. Not to mention Kagurabaki is only getting better as time goes on. But what do you think? Think I'm on the money or way off? Am I overestimating or underestimating any particular series? What do you think of the new series from 2024 in general? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm Axel Blaze, and thank you for watching.